The casket was already lowered halfway. Black umbrellas, gold watches, perfect silence. Then a dirty orange garbage truck screeched to a stop. People turned, angry, offended. A garbage collector jumped out, boots muddy, uniform torn, breathless. "Stop!" he screamed. "She's not dead!" Laughter rippled through the crowd. Security moved fast. "This is a billionaire's funeral," someone hissed. "Get this trash man out of here." But the collector, Ethan Cole, was shaking. Tears streamed down his face as he pointed at the casket. "I saw her this morning," he cried. Alive, breathing, begging. The priest froze. The widow went pale, and Ethan pulled something from his pocket, something that made the entire cemetery gasp. Don't look away, because what Ethan discovered next will expose a truth powerful people tried to bury. The man in the casket was Margaret Hale, a tech billionaire's wife, philanthropist, social icon, untouchable. Her husband, Richard Hale, stood dry-eyed at the front. Perfect suit, perfect posture, not a tear out of place. Around them, politicians, judges, CEOs, people who never noticed the streets they drove over. And then there was Ethan Cole, 42, garbage collector, widowed, 2 kids at home, a man invisible to the city he cleaned every night. Ethan had worked the Hale district for years. He knew which houses slept in luxury, and which ones hid secrets behind locked gates. That morning, on his route behind Hale Industries, he heard something weak, faint, desperate. A woman's voice. Ethan stopped his truck, and everything he believed about power shattered, right there in the trash-lined alley. The security guards grabbed Ethan by the arms. "Hard? Get him out of here," Richard Hale ordered calmly, not even turning around. But Ethan didn't resist. He spoke fast, controlled, like a man who knew time was running out. "Behind your company," Ethan said, eyes locked on Richard. "Loading dock C blue dumpster." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Richard stiffened just for a second. Ethan reached into his jacket again. This time he held up his phone. A recording. A woman's voice, weak but unmistakable. "Please, help me. I can't breathe." Gasps. The widow, Richard's daughter-in-law, Claire Hale, covered her mouth. Richard snapped. "That's fake," he barked. "This man is sick. Arrest him." But Ethan kept going. "I called 911, he said. Time-stamped, logged. I took photos, GPS tagged." He turned the screen toward the crowd. A blurred image, a pale hand, a diamond ring. Margaret Hale's ring. The priest stepped back. Reporters started recording. Richard's lawyer whispered urgently into his ear. Security hesitated. Then Ethan dropped the final blow. "I followed protocol," he said quietly. "And I followed my conscience. Because buried in his truck's dash cam footage was proof someone wanted Margaret declared dead. Before she actually was. The wind stopped. The coffin creaked. And Richard's face finally cracked. The cemetery went silent. No birds. No whispers. Only the sound of Richard Hale's breathing, ragged now. Police sirens wailed in the distance. Ethan stepped forward as officers arrived, calm as stone. "I didn't just hear her," he said. "I followed the trail." He tapped his phone. Dashcam footage filled the giant screen meant for funeral photos. A black SUV. Richard's security detail. Margaret, alive, being wheeled out of the building, sedated. A doctor's voice, clear as day. "Her vitals are unstable. She needs a hospital." Another voice cut in. Richard's. "No hospitals. No records. She dies today." Gasps exploded across the crowd. Claire collapsed into a chair. The officers froze the footage. Richard stumbled back. "This is edited," he stammered. But his hands were shaking. Ethan didn't raise his voice. "I used to be an EMT," he said. "Before life knocked me down. I know a living body. I know a staged death." The police chief stepped forward. "Mr. Hale," he said coldly, "you're under arrest for attempted murder, conspiracy, and fraud." Richard fell to his knees. The coffin was opened. Inside, not a body, but a weighted shell, a lie. A scream ripped through the crowd. Paramedics radioed in. Margaret Hale was found alive, hidden in a private medical storage unit. barely breathing. As she was rushed away, her eyes opened, and she whispered 2 words. "Thank you," to Ethan, a garbage collector, the man everyone laughed at, the man who refused to look away. Richard Hale's empire collapsed in weeks. Accounts frozen. Board members resigned. His face replaced headlines meant to honor his wife. Prison replaced penthouses. Margaret Hale survived, slowly, painfully, and when she could finally speak, she asked for one person. Ethan Cole. Not the lawyers, not the press, the garbage collector who listened. At the hospital, cameras waited outside, but inside it was quiet. Margaret took Ethan's hand. "They told me no one would believe me," she said, "that I was already dead." Ethan shook his head. "Not to me," he replied. The city rallied. Neighbors raised funds for Ethan's kids. The mayor honored him publicly. A foundation was created in his name to protect the voiceless. But Ethan returned to work the next Monday. Same truck, same route. Because dignity wasn't about fame. It was about doing the right thing. When no one is watching, that day the city learned a lesson. Sometimes the truth doesn't come from power. It comes from someone willing to stop, listen, and refuse to throw humanity away.